spread the word. The JCPenney Friends and Family Sale is back. And this week, we're passing the savings on to you. Use your extra 30% off coupon to prep your home and style your family for Easter. That's extra savings on top of our great low prices. Plus, share your coupon with everyone you know and love. It's always better when we save together. JCPenney. Make everybody count. Offer valid 3/11 through 3/17. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Can't believe it. Good ball, by the hell.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Mag 247. We are joined today by me, my co-host Killian, FaZe, Chase, Daz, Masood and Greg. How are you all today after this derby, which we'll get into in a bit?
Recovered.
Being better.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Emotional.
So, we'll get into the derby in a bit. I just wanted to pay a bit of respect and show support for Bobby, who obviously we've been given some good tributes to this week, and the amazing tributes outside Old Trafford before the Man City game. A massive shout out to Phil as well, who took some flowers from the mag and put it outside, representing all of us. We really appreciate that, mate. And great work. I don't know where you guys are on that. If you want to add anything onto that, on the tributes.
Yeah, so just to touch upon, so just to give our listeners and viewers a bit of insight. So Phil is one of our team members for the MAG 24/7 Reds. He's based in Birmingham, but he's a season ticket holder, and he very wholeheartedly got flowers from a local shop and brought it to the Trinity statue outside Old Trafford to pay on our behalf, to pay respects to Sir Bobby, which was very heartfelt. He actually had me in tears. It was a beautiful thing to do, and we really commemorate Phil for doing that. So thank you so much, Phil, on behalf of the team, to yourself, and very grateful.
Cheers, Phil. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Thanks, hello.
Yeah. Cheers.
So we will go on to the derby now. So I'm going to start with you, Killian, and we'll go around. So what was your thoughts on the derby?
Yeah, it was obviously we got beat 3-0. The difference in the end was quite astronomical and quite disheartening, but it's just the way things are going these days for both teams. You just can't seem to catch a break. I actually think Eric Ten Hag got the formation spot on. Maybe not the personnel, but we'll come to that later on. I think the system was working quite well, and we were quite dangerous on the break. Actually, I thought we were much more dangerous than City were. But then, of course, our good old friend VAR got involved, and you know yourself, when Michael Oliver's in the VAR room, and you learn that your hopes and dreams for the game diminish quite quickly. It changed the game, the VAR decision. As soon as it popped up on the screen and the commentators were talking that it was being looked at, and I heard Michael Oliver was in the room, I knew it was a done deal. It was going to be a penalty. And they got the penalty scored, and we never mentally recovered. Now, you can say that the players are weak for not recovering and getting stuck in, but that decision, in my opinion, changed the dynamics of that game completely. But what I will say as well, like, the players are at fault as well. Amrabat, way off it. He's been way off it since he arrived, chasing shadows for the whole game. Best thing he did was get a yellow when he squared up to Foden, you know. Rashford chosen ahead of Garnacho for the umpteenth time. That's the last time I want to see him start over Garnacho. Anyway, I don't want to go on too much because we'll get into it later on. But yeah, in my opinion, the result, not surprising in the slightest, but I think VAR changed the game completely. And I think that's the softest penalty you're going to see, because this happens every day, every week in the Premier League, and penalties are never given for that. But at City, like with Live VAR Pill, they always get the decisions. And any chance for the Premier League to give a decision against us, let's be honest, it's always given, because they never want to see us back in the top. Anyway, rant over and we can move on to the next. Chase, your thoughts?
What can I say? It's just not a great performance. Obviously, I thought we were doing pretty well. We had to handle the match early on. We were starting to get some momentum, starting to get some chances. And then obviously it just went to shit in a handbasket real quick after that VAR decision. But I'm not going to forgive the performance afterwards. After the VAR decision, putting their heads down immediately, just looking like they couldn't give a rat's ass right after that decision. And that is the last time I want to see Rashford play. That's the last time I want to see him start. I mean, him, Bruno, and it's the last time I want to see them start, because it is just every week in, week out, not good enough. They can ride the pine.
Yeah. FaZe or Daza, excuse me, Daza.
Yeah, much the same as you two guys. I thought Ten Hag got his tactics spot on. I thought we were in the game. Personnel's an issue, like you touched on, Kelly, and we'll come back to personnel, because I think that's a big issue. But in terms of the way he set us up, I thought he set us up fine. The only difference I have is I thought Amrabat was really good today off the ball. The amount of work he did off the ball was insane, and I think it really showed. I think we had a perfect storm right at the end of that first half, because we get the VAR decision go against us, and then Amrabat went off. And what happened in the second half was we were wide open in the midfield, because Amrabat wasn't there to cover the passing lanes. I thought Amrabat was brilliant in the first half. His work off the ball. McTominay, it's just simply not good enough for where we want to be. He's a good player, but he's not what we need. Eriksen's fine in there, but he needs legs around him, and he was isolated today because McTominay, Rashford they don't track. Bruno, we'll talk about Bruno later. But Marcus, for me, been saying it for a long time. I'm not going to go in on him because I'm not that type of person. I think he'll know himself. His form's not good enough. His attitude is now questionable for me. But yeah, not a good day. Not a good second half. The first half, in bits, we looked okay, and we were hanging on in there. The VAR decision's a fucking shocker, I have to say. I'm still incensed by it. But like you said, Killian, see, Michael Oliver's in there. No chance. That was always going to be given against us, and I'll give it a time back.
Yeah, ominous, really. Masood, our first off, before we get into it, on behalf of Mag 24/7 Reds, major congratulations about the Springboks, South Africa winning the Rugby World Cup. Massive congrats, brother. Now, we'll park that for now, and we're all love, bro. But we'll get into the match. Your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, I'm exactly like you guys. All the guys have come on before me and said the same thing. I think at the start of the game we were doing decently, but the story of our season has been where we get into that final third and we don't have that killer instinct in terms of taking the wrong option always. I mean, there was a few occasions where Hoyland had Marcus open, he didn't pass the right pass, and we lost momentum in the attack. So in terms of that, it's just been the story of the season where our attacking hasn't been great in the final third, and that's why we've only scored 11 goals this whole season. And as the guys have said, that the VAR decision changed the game. And what's frustrating for me is in the Arsenal game, we at the time where we were looking to strong towards the end of the game, and we were looking to go ahead, and Hoyland didn't get this. I mean, something that was worse, where Gabriel basically rugby tackled him, and we didn't get the penalty. And yet today the penalty is given against us for similar, or even something more softer than that. So for me, VAR's questionable against us. But like you said, Killian, earlier, these incidents happen every week. I mean, I think Alan Shearer on the PL channel as well mentioned it, that it happens 2 or 3 times in a game. Are we going to get penalties for every one of them if this is given? And the answer to that is no. It's just basically when the refs decide which one they want to give, and they don't get any. Nothing happens to them when they make decisions wrong and stuff. They just lose out a couple of games where they don't ref a game, and then they're back. So there's no consequence for their failures, and no responsibility as well. And the same thing with us at the moment is our mentality is not great. And with guys like Rashford and Bruno, because they have this guarantee of starting every week, there's no consequence of failure for them as well. So we need to let them take responsibility as well. And for me, Ten Hag has to step up and basically put the bigger players on the bench and sort of teach them a lesson as well. There can't be guarantees in any team, and he has to let go of his stubbornness a bit as well.
Yeah, agreed. Who's next up there? Greg, very welcome from the Caribbean, my friend. Great to have you on, brother. Your thoughts on the game?
Glad to be here. I think the general consensus is a unanimous thing, because first few minutes we look great, and I have to agree with Daza, especially because I know Killian isn't exactly a big fan of Sofiane Amrabat, but he was one of the players that was kind of giving us a bit of a balance in the midfield. We saw when he went off, and I said it when I saw that substitution made for him coming off, and Mason Mount coming on. I'm like, that is going to leave us heavily exposed in the back line. And it really was the case. Scott McTominay cannot play deeper. Christian Eriksen doesn't have the legs to play that role. It left us overexposed, and a lot of players ended up double working themselves in that process. Before that, we were looking good, and honestly, I believe, like everybody is saying, Marcus Rashford should be dropped. I think Erik ten Hag needs to read the room and realize, okay, yes, this guy gave you 30 goals last season, but send a message and let him know, okay, you're not performing up to the standards that you set. You need to hold the bench for a little while. Give the likes of Garnacho and others some game time. This was not one of those situations where you could just play someone back into form. If someone's not showing that standard, then you can't keep running them into the ground. Sometimes maybe they need to hold the bench and let them come off the bench and be an impact sub. It's as simple as that. Am I turning on Erik ten Hag? No. But at the same time, we have to recognize that when something isn't working, why keep persisting with it? There's a reason why we've only scored 11 goals, because we are not potent enough going forward. Rasmus Højlund is not getting service. Marcus Rashford is underperforming. The right side is starving for some quality. I don't know why Facundo Pellistri can't get any more games, but persisting with Anthony and playing Marcus on the right does not do us any favors. So, and playing Bruno on the right on top of that kills creativity in any sense of, by any stretch of the imagination. Mason Mount looked like a fish out of water in that situation, and the team was just all over the place. Not surprised by the performance, but it is what it is.
Very well said, Greg. Agree with nearly all them points. FaZe?
Just, you've all been very kind, to be perfectly honest. We started off the game and then, surprise, surprise, a decision goes against us, and guess what? We put our heads down and we feel sorry for ourselves. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You know what? In games like these, this is where character, teamwork, this is where you come together and you grind out results. City weren't great. They showed patterns of play and they showed what they can be good at, right? But Manchester United, that starting 11, I mean, we'll go into it in obviously a bit more. I thought the tactics were wrong, in my opinion. I thought that the team selection was wrong. I think Erik ten Hag got it probably 1 out of 10 today in terms of everything that he did. But we started the game well, and then, as I say, that VAR decision, which is absolutely ludicrous. It makes completely no sense whatsoever. And like I say, we were just disinterested. That was it. We effectively, at 1-0 at Old Trafford, after 20 odd minutes, we gave up. It's unforgivable. It's criminal. And enough's enough now. Enough's enough. We can't be accepting these performances. Not in a game when we're trying to commemorate one of our greatest ever players as well. It's like I say, it's criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Yeah. Won't disagree with you there, FaZe. That's for sure. Well said, bro. Jono, back to yourself.
Johnny, you're muted.
I echo what everyone has said there. But yeah, not a great performance. First 20 minutes, we were decent. But I echo what FaZe said there. We're celebrating the life of arguably our biggest legend ever to play for this great club, who knew how to play for that badge. And we all know the modern day players, it feels like they don't care about what the history of this club means and the wanting to play for that badge. Like, again, Rashford needs dropping. I agree on that. He had been shocking. I haven't seen anything from Mason Mount since we brought him in. I questioned that signing when we did it. He looks just as bad as he was for Chelsea last season. I knew why Ten Hag wanted him. He's wanted him in the past, but that's not worked. He just doesn't fit. I was hoping that he was going to come in and give us some competition for Bruno. Playing Bruno outright, it's ridiculous. It doesn't fit. Everyone knows it. And I'm getting pissed off of seeing him right. We've got so many wings. Why is Bruno playing out wide? Amrabat, Anthony, Garnacho, Pellistri, Ahmed. We've got so many wingers and we're not using them. So we're playing Bruno just to accommodate for Bruno. If you need to rest Bruno, rest him. Don't play him out of position. He's not effective there. I think I agree with some of the rest. I think Amrabat was very important that first half. I think he was holding that midfield. He gave us a bit of defensive cover, which we lack without Casemiro. Eriksen hasn't got the legs for that. Neither does Scott. I think Scott's a great bench player, but that's it. He shouldn't be starting for United. I hope we give the kids a chance against Newcastle, because I'm sick of these players who don't want to play for this badge. How much was, say, for example, Bobby Charlton on? He didn't care, did he? How much money Bobby Charlton was on all those years back? He was probably on 10 grand, if that, compared to Marcus Rashford, who didn't look like he cared today on 350k a week, and same with Bruno. That's just why I get annoyed. Anyway, rant over, and we've got some questions from the chat, which we'll get everyone involved in. Bruno, this goes into a question from Keane. Roy Keane questioned Bruno being captain after the game on Sky Sports. We've got a guy in chat here. Why is Bruno captain? what does he expire? What's your thoughts, guys, in chat, in the call? Should Bruno be the captain? And if not, who would you have as captain?
I'm just going to jump in real quick there. I'm Bruno's number one fan. He's my favourite player for Manchester United, right?
Same, yeah.
Since he came to the club, he's carried the club on his shoulders. The stats back this up. He's a world-class player. The stats back it up. Yeah, it's a typical hero becoming the villain. And the reason behind this is he's been played out of position and he's surrounded by idiots within the team. He's either on burnout, because you can see, but he's not Wayne Rooney. You can't play him on the wing. He's not that type. Wayne Rooney was just an extraordinary footballer. He could play in goal, defence. You could play him anywhere. Bruno, you can't do that with Bruno. It's like playing Haaland left wing or left back. Why would you do it? There's no reason for it. The only reason for it is to accommodate the system. But the system ain't fucking working, pardon my French. It ain't working. You see, this is the thing. I love Eric Ten Hag. I'm Eric Ten Hag in all the way, even if he loses every game. I'm Eric Ten Hag in. But the accountability needs to fall on the manager as well. All right? He brought in Mason Mount. What does Mason Mount actually do? Where does he actually play? What system does he fit into? I'm still trying to understand, yeah? You know? Bruno, yes, he does need to be dropped because his form isn't good enough. But to go in, I'm Irish, okay? I'm from Republic of Ireland. For Roy Keane to say that about Bruno, I think is very harsh. And he's putting a lot of unnecessary pressure, which is already on Bruno's shoulders as the captain. And I'm surprised and disappointed by those remarks. But I understand the frustration. But still, when you have a player being played out of position, like he's an attacking midfielder. He should be he's a number 10. The end. That's it.
But are we going to make an excuse because he has too much pressure on him as the captain? Because when you're a Manchester United player, no matter what, you're going to get pressure, right?
Correct.
And you're going to have the pressure 3 times that when you're the captain. No fucking excuse. I'm sorry. Pardon me, but there's no excuse. When you have that captain's badge, you're the leader. No excuses. No excuses whatsoever. You're the leader. You set the tone. And when you're down and something happens, what do you do as a leader? You bring everyone up. Instead of putting your head down, you put your head up and you bring everyone's level up. Is he doing that as a captain?
Well, since he came into the club, he was doing that. But you can only do so much for how many seasons? And finally, his form is starting to drop off. I believe he's on burnout and he's getting played out of position. And I think it's absolutely criminal. You can say what you like, but if you're going to come for a player, Bruno's the last player you come for, in my opinion.
Okay. But as a captain, excuses, we as the captain, you're put at most scrutiny because you're the leader. You lead. So if you're telling me he's put him on the back since he's been here and then he falls off, then he shouldn't be captain. Because that's not what the leader does.
Yeah, well, Chase, who do you put in then? Who do you put as captain then, Chase? Who do you put as captain then?
Honestly,
because nobody in that team is holding up to any sort of standard right now.
I look at this squad. I don't see any captains in that squad. I don't see a natural leader. I don't. Because when something happens, something falls, they all fall. And I see why Keno said what he said. Because he was a leader. He knows what it takes. And you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to agree with it. This is my opinion. But there's not.
I think from an Irishman's perspective, for Keno to say that, the man he walked out in his country for the World Cup, yeah, okay. I have the utmost respect for Keno as an Irishman, but he walked out in his country so he can park that bus wherever he wants. But you want to talk about players leading. How can he lead players like Rashford? Did you see? Let's give an example. Bruno made a run down the channel in behind the defender. Delot had the ball to pass it to him first time. Didn't. The run was gone. And then lost, and we lost possession. You could see the face on Bruno. He knows he's surrounded by inferior players. Come on.
I think where he gets to stick is his numbers since he's been here are amazing. Most strikers would be happy with the numbers he's got from midfield since he joined this club. But I think on the leadership side of it, where he does get a bit of stick, is the moaning at officials, the not getting on with it, if you know what I mean. It's not.
Oh, please. Rodri was literally chewing off the referee's ear just to get that penalty earlier. You want to talk about Bruno moaning?
I disagree with that in a sense, because when Kino was captain, Gary Neville was captain, United players just surround the referee. It's not allowed these days. But they do the same thing. It's passion and emotion at the time.
I literally remember a game at Stamford Bridge where I think it was Scholes that got tackled. I saw Sheringham, Keane, Stam, every one of them in the referee's face.
No, that's one thing.
You're telling me that you're literally criticizing a man who's complaining about not getting a call when they used to be nearly. I thought they were going to beat up the referee at one point.
Did you see what happened when Did you see when the penalty call came for City? Did you see all the players moaning at the referee?
Correct. Rodri was in the referee's face.
What's the difference?
Walker was in the referee's face. Foden was in the referee's face. You telling me that's okay?
Guys, can I just jump in very quickly? Because I've got a complete take to you all. I think all of our definitions of a captain is not what we think it is anymore, I'm afraid. We're talking about some incredible characters there. You talk about Roy Keane, you talk about Vidic, you go back to Cantona. They're unrivaled. They're absolutely unrivaled. Killian, you nailed it right. You do not say anything to your captain. When your captain looks at you, when Roy Keane looked at a player, gave him that, you absolutely shit your pants.
Yo, Roy Keane looked like he would actually kill you with a stare.
That's what it meant to him, right? I don't think a captain in this day and age in these football clubs is what we are used to, what we were used to. I think Bruno Fernandes has been a leader by performance. He was incredible. Only third to Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, by the way, on goals and assists. Unbelievable stats. Let that sink in. That was only a season ago. Incredible season. He was hitting ridiculous numbers. So we have to really look at what do we expect from a captain, because you have to look at those other players as well. Those other players are becoming, I think, in my opinion, unmanageable. They're just too difficult to deal with. There's too many prima donnas, too many individuals. I don't know what anyone thinks about that, but
that's the difference. That's the difference. If you look at the performance today, City were a team. We are looking for individual moments in a game, and that's where we're getting lost this season as well. Because that's what we've been doing the entire season. We don't have a structure in terms of a team. We have. We're looking for individual brilliance and maybe moments in a game that changes the dynamics of a game. We can't put pressure on a team because we can't sustain ball possession. So there's no structure within the team. So and a captain is as good as what he has around him. So he can be the greatest leader of all time. Can be the greatest leader of all time. But if your soldiers are not good enough, in the end of the day, you'll get killed, isn't it?
We also look like a bunch of chickens with our heads cut off. To be fair, I mean, City look like a well-oiled machine, a team.
But that's exactly it.
So that leads me into a point. If I can jump in, Chase, exactly what you just said there. We're running about like individuals, right? And I put a tweet out earlier. It's all about perspective, right? So let's have it right. That back four doesn't start. See if everyone's fit and firing. That back four doesn't start.
Absolutely
right?
not. Absolutely
the midfield, that's not the starting midfield either. After Copenhagen, Ten Hag said the biggest problem he's got is match rhythm, because he's not got the players to take the ball off Onana and take it into midfield because they're not used to it. Let's be honest, this all goes back. We all know the club needs a rebuild. The team needs rebuilt. But Ollie, released information a few weeks ago that he was only allowed to sign 3 players per year, right? How can you do a rebuild on 3 players per year? And I don't know, how many permanent signings has Ten Hag made per season? Is it 3, 4 maximum? The others have all been loans. So it all goes back to upstairs, and nothing's going to change.
And besides signing players, also getting rid of players is something that United doesn't do well enough as well.
It all goes back to that point, Masood. See if you can only sign 3. You can only sell a couple because you're going to leave yourself wide open.
But that's the wages that goes on. That goes back to the club and the board offering too much for wages, because you offer
silly money, man.
Harry Maguire $250k a week. West Ham aren't going to pay him that, and they're going to want compensation. And then us as fans moan that the club don't ship off Harry Maguire. It's the club's. It's the owner's fault, and we're blaming Harry Maguire for not leaving.
There's a lot of players in that squad, John, that are just not good enough.
Obviously,
and I've got 3 or 4 managers sacked. So let's have an understanding of where we are.
It's always going to be what's happening up top. We all know here.
It falls down the way, Chase, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, we all know half of these players don't cut it, aren't good enough. But also, I think the biggest problem that Ten Hag has at the back is not having Lissandro, not having Licha. That is a huge, huge miss, because he was the only one out of that back 4 that can take pressure off Onana, take pressure off the back line, and not having Licha whatsoever has really, really killed us.
Chase, just to cut in real quick, we talk about who would we have as captain. He's the fucking man I'd have as captain. Besides Bruno, Licha epitomizes what's needed to be a Manchester United player. Yep. Grit, determination, leaves everything on the pitch. Every tackle he wins, every block he wins, every block his teammates win. It's like they scored a goal. He breeds Manchester United. He infuses that energy into his teammates around him. And as you've put it, and as we know, he's the missing link that works the cohesion from the back through the midfield to up top, and we're missing him, as you said, massively. Sorry, go ahead.
Just a quick point on Deza's point earlier with regards to structure above. If you listen to Pep's the press conference after the game, and he was asked the question about. He was asked the question about why is it the difference between United and City, and he says that everyone works together at City, whether it's the CEO, the footballing side, the manager, everyone's pointing in the same direction. Where at United, everything's pointing in different directions. From the owner to the manager to the players.
I've got the actual quote in front of me now, and he said, "It's simple. Everybody has to be on the same path. Owners, CEO, manager, chairman, and fans. When there is no unity, there's just failure."
And that's what I said a couple of weeks ago. That's what I said a couple of weeks ago on my Come For Me take, is that the problem with United at the moment, even in the fan base, is that we are disunited. The name is United, but we're anything but united, especially as fans.
They have not only separated the squad, the manager, they have separated the fan base as well. We're all separated because there's no cohesion in anything at this football. There's not one. There's not one straight path that you could say this is what we're doing. We're united.
Exactly.
It goes off in just separate ways, and we're split down the middle.
And the press plays on that, and that's what they're looking for as well, because they just angry United fan base basically gets you clicks and sells newspapers and stuff as well, and gets traction during the week. And in a couple of weeks' time, we're getting another international break, and then we're going to get stories about the sale again, and it's just going to be the same cycle over and over and over again. So
you're gonna hear the Jadon Sancho story brought back up. You're gonna hear something else about Onana. You're gonna hear something about Ten Hag under pressure. 1 minute it's Casemiro regretting signing for the club. It's always something.
You see the thing also is that, like you guys said, as everything with the back line as well. Last year, basically the back 5 was so stable in terms of De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Shaw, and Licha as well. So basically, game after game, for at least 20 games, you had that back five, and you had Casemiro in front of them. So it was starting to look like a well-oiled machine, and that's where your attacking players like Rashford and took advantage of that. But we don't have that season, unfortunately. For now, this season, unfortunately.
Last year he knew what he was getting week in, week out. This year, with the injuries of our entire back, he doesn't know what he's getting.
That's true, but also he's just being a bit stubborn as well this season, Chase.
It's like a roulette. He's getting a roulette.
He's starting to be stubborn.
We could probably talk about this topic for hours.
I think I think what we'll do is we'll move on, because as FaZe has put it, we've been talking for this. We can talk for this for ages. But what we'll do is, right, I want us to go through each of and every one of us and see what. So we've Newcastle up next. Oh my God! Right, the Geordies who want a piece of our pie and love to take dressing room photos after they beat us. What a club, yeah. So let's start off with FaZe. FaZe, who needs dropping for the Newcastle game, and who needs to come in, or what formation would you play, or what tactic would you go for? Hit me.
I'll keep it very short and sweet. Who needs to be dropped? Marcus Rashford needs to be dropped. Bruno Fernandes needs to be dropped. Straight off the bat. And there's no ifs or buts about that whatsoever. I'm not laying into them for any that we already haven't discussed, but when you're struggling that much, you need to take one of them out of the trenches. It's so abundantly clear. You're not going to play them into form because we've tried this. Take them out of the team. I think I talked about the tactics before, and effectively what I was going to say was, I think we need to play two holding midfielders. I think we need to play two in the pivot, because we just haven't got that consistency in defence and that structure where when we are trying to attack, we're just too open. We're too open. We're left far too open, and it's really concerning. So I think we need to play the two. I said in my match preview that Mason Mount was going to be critical in this game. He didn't even start. He played Bruno on the right. So I would start Mason Mount. I would again probably Amrabat and Ericsson, because I don't know Casemiro's back. If he's back, great. Shove him straight in. I'd like to see Maino at some point, but I want to see Mebry. Because we know what he's done. We know what he's capable of. We know he wants it. He's got the bit between his teeth. When you're a kid like that and you're setting the standards and the examples, the rest should be put to shame. Get him in that starting lineup immediately. And the back four, I don't think we've got any choice. I don't think Maguire and Johnny Evans did that bad today. I think they were okay. I haven't watched the game back. Obviously, we've literally just jumped on straight away. But that's where I sit. And obviously, special mention to Onana. I thought he was incredible. That's been a lot worse.
Some of the saves today.
Yeah, well, that crazy Superman save from Haaland's header, unfortunately, won't get mentioned in the back of the pages. But what a save that was! Chase, do you want to pop in? What would you the changes and etc. formation etc. For
Newcastle, I would obviously sit bench Rashford, bench Bruno. Personally, what I would do is bring in Palestri. Let's give Palestri a start. Let's give this kid something. Let's bring in Hannibal. Let's bring in Mount. Let's bring in something different. I mean, they're creators and they attack very, very well. They're on the ball very, very well. If Reguilon's not going to start, I'm putting Delo at left back. He's played there before.
Who plays right back?
I think Wan-Bissaka might be back, so he's been training, so he might be back.
Wan-Bissaka's back, but hopefully with Reguilon getting minutes, I think he'll start. So I would have Reguilon and Dalot start in the back, and I mean Onana was terrific. He's the reason why we didn't shout down 6-0. And I think Harry and Johnny Evans did very, very well today. For what they were given, they would do very, very well.
Yeah, well said, Chase. Greg, same question in regards to any changes for the Newcastle game.
Honestly, I think, like I said, I'm echoing everybody's sentiments with this whole thing. Drop Rashford, drop Bruno. They need a rest, and I think it would be good for everybody in that regard. I would actually go for a diamond in the midfield because I think centrally we need more midfielders that can control the game, and we can keep Newcastle on the back foot in that regard. We can allow the fullbacks to overload and overlap in the boxes. I'm thinking if we're gonna play like a diamond, we play two strikers. I'd actually give Martial and Højlund a game together. See how that works, because it would give an opportunity for Martial to drift left, and he'd be able to kind of act like an auxiliary winger. Højlund could still stay central. Someone can give him a support off the flanks. It's a trial, but yeah, Hannibal could play in this game. Mainu could play in this game. I would play Amrabat behind them. Manu could probably drop back if need be at times to help out, but so it would be a nice little change where everybody could play that, and it wouldn't necessarily be like a flat four. So it'd be an interesting take, but I mean, I don't know what Ten Hag thinks. I mean, the only thing we have in common is that we're both bald, but that's about
it. Well said, Greg. Good one, Masood.
Yeah, I'm with all the guys as well. So my team would be if he's going to give the new goalkeeper a chance, maybe. Otherwise, Onana has been. I think that penalty save has given him some confidence, and today he was immense. So I would go to Onana. If Wan-Bissaka is fit, I'd go with him at right back just to give him some game time and match fitness as well. And then you can put Varane and Maguire in the back at the back, or even Varane and Johnny Evans, whichever one you go. I mean, Maguire and Evans were actually good today. So I mean, you don't have to change it, but if you need to give Varane game time to get match fitness as well. And then Reguilon for me has to start, especially against a team like Newcastle, because he brings that dynamism to the wing as well. So he overlaps your winger. And then it's a toss-up between Mainu and Medjbury who comes into midfield with Casemiro or Amrabat. And obviously for Bruno, I'd bring in Mount. And your wingers should be Garnacho and Palestri. And if you're not going to play Højlund, which I think he should play just to get him some confidence and get him some goals, you can play Martial, because when Martial's played this season, he hasn't done that badly. Not that he's tearing up trees, but he hasn't done that badly. So that would be my team for Wednesday.
Very good, Masood. Well said, brother. Daza?
Yeah, an hour and a half ago, if you'd asked me that question, I would have dropped 85% of that team, and I would have just sent a whole message out to the club saying it's unacceptable. Højlund stays. I probably wouldn't have. I'd have just went youth FC, honestly, just to send a message. As the time's going on, I'm becoming a wee bit more relaxed about the whole situation. I would play Altair in goals. I would definitely give him I think he's got to get his shot. Got to get him in there. He's got to feel what it's like to play for United. I know that building confidence on Onana, but he definitely needs a shot in there. Onana needs to feel the heat of someone breathing down his neck. Højlund, he never had a pre-season. I just keep playing the kid. He's the bright spot for me. I think he is. If we can get him polished, he looks really good. And the biggest thing for me is the wings. I think Palestri needs to play. I think Garnacho needs to play. I don't know what Palestri needs to do to get a game of football. Hannibal, we just need to be really careful as a club, because if we don't give these boys ample opportunity, they're going to leave. We're going to lose them. Mm-hmm. And the current squad are not doing enough to earn a place for me. So, do you sacrifice the League Cup to blood some of these boys and let them play? Let Kobe Mainu play. Let Hannibal and Kobe in that midfield. We've seen that in pre-season. It worked pretty good. I know it's only pre-season, but yeah, I echo most of the sentiments. As I said, when it was Raw, I'd have dropped them all just to send a message. But I would definitely I'd be dropping 4 or 5 of them, definitely.
Yeah. A can't really disagree with any of your points and great points from all the lads there. I'd go one further. I think the best performance this season was the game before Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, and we played the kids. I played the exact same team. It was the most complete team performance of the season for me. And none of the stars played.
Sorry. For us as fans, it was also the most fun watching United play the season so far.
It was probably the most fluid I have seen us play in a long time.
Exactly.
So smooth, so fun to watch. Everyone getting their chances, and it was just nonstop. And that was probably the first time this season I actually had fun watching.
Yeah.
Mount got an assist in that game.
We just take out the stars and their individual talents and their showboating, and just watch the kids play as a team and show some passion and guile and determination for each other. That's all I want to see. And the game before, I can't even remember who we played in the previous round, but it was just it was a joy to watch. We looked like a team.
Palace. And even Dan Go got a few minutes as well, and he looked good as well.
I forgot about him. Dan Gore should get some games.
Dan Gore is a special player. I think he's an up-and-coming talent, and one that I would not be surprised gets the armband in future. Not to put too much pressure on the boy, but yeah, no, I'd play the same team. I think you have to see Hannibal, you have to see Garnacho. Yeah, and that's really it. Jono, what do you reckon?
My thoughts on the game is Newcastle are going to want to come for us. We beat them in the final last year. They're going to be hungry, I think. I think it's going to be a really good game. Newcastle are smashing quite a few teams at the moment. They've invested well. They're a well-run club. Eddie Howe is a great manager. They're playing good football. I think it's going to be a really hard game. But I echo everyone. I'd go with the kids. I'd start. I really want to see Manu. I thought he might have come on today, especially that second half of that midfield got lost. I thought he might have brought him on. But he was
just lacking a bit match fitness, I'd say. I'd say that was the only reason he didn't.
It's probably the only thing we could think of at this point.
So I think if he's fit, play him, play Hannibal, drop Rashford, drop Bruno. I don't even know. I even start even more kids. I don't know if there's some youngsters that could get a chance in that back line, get a call up, because we haven't got many defenders at the moment, so we need some cover. So if there is someone who can step up from the youth team for the back line, why not?
Some good youth players.
I honestly play the kids. I've lost faith in a lot of those players now.
I know one player who would have done a hell of a job at that left back position, Alvaro.
Yeah, he's in Spain. We can't do much for that at the minute. Yeah.
Yeah, just my thoughts anyway.
What are our feelings on Ten Hag at the minute? I think you can see he's visibly under a lot of pressure. I think some of his changes today, very, very questionable, very strange. We'll start off with Højlund. Højlund got hooked. By far our best player on the pitch. I just didn't understand that. I couldn't get my head around it. It was mind-boggling. Why were changes made when the first half, okay, we were losing and it wasn't great, but the tactics,
we look more stable,
seemed to be working to an extent, bar the VAR decision and a couple of close calls. Like, we looked dangerous.
The one I didn't understand was the substitution for Amrabat for Mount. I think that's the one that really confused me. I think if you were going to sub Mount on, sub him off for Bruno, or sub him on the to play out wide. Don't sub him off.
I think the reason. Sorry, Chase. 1 sec. I think the reason Amrabat got hooked, and I know I was going on about Amrabat being way off it, and I did in terms of the pace of the game, but I must say I admit all of your points in respect to him playing off the ball, his work off the ball. I do admit you've opened my eyes, because I do agree with that to an extent. But my thinking when I was seeing Amrabat playing the first half, he just kept losing the ball, like giving it away simply. So I think that might have gotten Erik ten Hag annoyed a bit, that he was giving away the ball quite often. But I still didn't see the reason. I didn't know what the reason for because that changed the formation completely. So we just looked so off balance after that. And as Daza pointed out earlier, we were getting it was like a knife through butter running through that midfield for City.
He was I noticed what he was doing. I mean, he was cleaning up he was doing the dirty work that no one really watches, no one really sees in the match. That's what kept us really stable. He really was. He wasn't great on the ball. He wasn't, flashy, pretty. He was losing balls, but he was still doing the dirty work, keeping everything at bay, and also what he was doing was being the enforcer in the midfield for us. And I said it at halftime as well. I think he's going to come off because he's got that yellow card, and the second half's going to. We're already down 1-0. It was going to go towards a shootout. It was, the game was going to get much more physical in the second half, and I don't think he wanted to risk Amrabat getting a red, getting sent off with a second yellow. Højlund, my only thing with Højlund is I'm wondering if he has minutes on him still, coming back from the injury that he just came back from. I'm really wondering if he still has him on a certain amount of minutes till he feels comfortable that he can actually have him go for 90 minutes. That's the only thing that I can see of why he's pulling off Højlund. But other than that,
I must say, Chase, I don't agree with that at all. I think he has enough minutes under his belt. He's 20 years old as well. He's fit as a fiddle. You could see him. He was holding off. The strength of the boy is unbelievable. He looks so fit. I must say, I was dumbfounded to know. I just couldn't get over why he was taken off, and I still don't. And I think it was to bring on Martial for Højlund. I'm sorry. No.
I mean, that's the only thing I can logically come up with of why he's pulling him off. Is he tired? Does he have? Is he giving him a certain amount of minutes for an extended period of time till he feels that you're fully at this where I want you, so on and so forth? I mean, is there something going on that we don't? There's obviously something going that we don't know, that he keeps pulling Højlund off at the times that we need him the most.
I think the biggest issue, though, right, just to jump in, is he's keeping Rashford on. So when that sub came in, I automatically thought Rashford's coming off here, and he brought Højlund off. Now, I knew that we weren't going to get back into the game, right? But if there was a slither of a deflection and you get a goal and you're thinking you might be back in it, and he's taken Højlund off, and he's done it time and time again. And as you said, Killian, at 20 years old, you're a spring chicken. I'm afraid that particular scenario doesn't wash with me. I don't think that's the case. He's played international games as well, so he's had plenty of time to recover. If he's not fit, you don't start him. It's as simple as that. You had Garnacho on the bench. You had the mannequin, as Phil would call him. We had to the top line, my opinion. We had options. I just think he's got it wrong. I think he's got a lot of things wrong there. And looking again, I feel like
why do you think that is, Faze? You think he's questioning himself because there's so much pressure building, or what do you think?
I can't work it out. I'm trying to work it out, because there's got to be a season where he thinks there's a system there where he plays Rashford, whether it's out wide, out right, or through the middle, that Rashford offers him more in an attacking output than anyone else that we've got, because he's absolutely hell-bent on keeping him on the irrelevant of his performance on that day. And all of us head-scratching. I mean, leaving Anthony out was a big step in the right direction for him. We were all thinking, wow, this is the golden boy for him. He's left him out. But he put Bruno on the right. So once again, he makes a decision that we're all agreeing with, and then he goes and negates it by putting out the most creative player that we've got centrally out wide right. I'm trying to help him out as much as I can here. We're all trying to fend off these idiots that are saying Eric Ten Hag out. But when he makes decisions like that, it's incredibly difficult. Incredibly difficult.
I feel like though it's getting to the point for Ten Hag of every decision he makes is so critical. He's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't. And I think for him, he's scrambling in his brain what to do, but he is so strict in how he wants things done, and he's gonna live and die by the way he plays and the way he's gonna set his instructions and tactics.
Just very, very quick. I don't want to hog the mic. The very least you do when you're in these scenarios is play your players in their best position. End of story. Don't overcomplicate it. Bruno Fernandes is a number 10. He creates. Play him as a number 10. Marcus Rashford's wide left. Play him wide right. Don't move him back central. You know he's not capable of doing what he's doing. So I just wanted to add that in.
I think, Chase, just to jump on what you said, you're living in my head, Chase, because I was just about to say, when he brought Højlund off, I said to one of the boys that was with me when I was watching it, I think he's just scrambling to make a decision to affect the game, to try and outthink Man City a bit. I don't think there was any real. I think him and Mitchell van der Gaag maybe just thought, let's do this and see what comes of it.
Do you think that goes back to the summer as well, though? Because I know, like, we were all talking over the summer in Spaces, and we all said we need 2 strikers. Get 2. One is not enough. Everyone.
Chase and I discussed it for about 8 months. Sign Højlund, but you need to sign a prominent number 9 in front of him.
We talked
it's too much stress for the kid. It's too much stress for the kid. He's a young boy learning his.
Who do you get though? Who do you get in if we have to go for one in January though? Who do you get?
We should have got Harry Kane. That's who we should have got.
It was supposed to be Kane and Højlund as the double team.
We were all expecting Kane to come in. There was no way we were expecting United to put such pressure on a 20-year-old being our main man up top. We were all.
My whole thing was that I kind of had my trepidations because I knew Daniel Levy was going to be an asshole about it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what's done is done. We didn't get, Kane, but we have to live with what we have. But
I've said it in the past. I'd looking at Ivan Toney in January.
Yeah, of course. The boys, quality player, bro. But here, listen, Dazza touched upon it earlier. There's a common denominator here, all right? It all comes down to the owners, okay?
Correct.
We get rid of Eric Ten Hag, who comes in? Whoever comes in is going to fail again as well. I'm telling you, this is just a merry-go-round of bullshit.
That merry-go-round's over, though, Killing, because we've got no money left.
Well,
there's no money left.
We brought in some of the absolute world's best managers in the world. Jose Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, to name a couple. Ollie got them players. Listen, I truly believe Ollie was on the way. And then for marketing reasons and obviously politics came into it, and Ronaldo became available, and there were whispers that he was going to City, and we couldn't let that happen. He derailed everything, all Ollie's work. Okay, Ollie wasn't the man probably to take. He probably had taken us as far as he could managerial quality-wise, but it was a damn good. It was horrible the way it finished, but it was damn good at the start, and I do believe there was a direction there. And some of the football we played was unbelievable. Let's give him credit. Yeah. Always a legend, by the way. But
I agree with that to an extent.
I think
one Chase.
Oh yeah.
When you go, I'll give it to you.
I think one people need to understand here, and they overlook. Mourinho said it best. No matter what manager comes in, no matter who it is, could be the best manager in the world. It's never gonna work. You are gonna fail as a manager when you come into Manchester United because of what's asked of you. And you're not going to get what you want. Doesn't matter who you are. It's not going to work. You're going to fail.
That's what I was about to say. Like, you'll get your first season, they'll throw 200, 250 million in you to get you back in the Champions League. You're back in the Champions League. We're stopping backing you now. We needed you back in the Champions League. You got us back in the Champions League. That's it.
What I was going to say, John,
free.
before I was just rudely interrupted by Chase, was that the nucleus of this squad, right? There's a large amount of players in this team that got 4 managers sacked. That right? There's still players in this squad that played when Alex Ferguson was there, up until last season. Jesus Christ!
Crazy.
Let's just think any other top club. We'd have just went bang, 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 and got rid of all of them.
Yeah.
But we can't, because you can only churn 3 at a time, and that's the problem. And nothing's going to. We're going to be here until it changes upstairs, and that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yep.
Yeah, like Louis van Gaal inherited half of the previous manager, then he gets done, and then Jose Mourinho inherits 3/4 of his team, doesn't get the backing, and he's gone, and then Ollie comes in and has 3/4 of Jose Mourinho's team, and it goes on and on and on. Eric Ten Hag.
So when you
go ahead, bro.
We'll finish. No, what I was going to say was, so see when Ollie made those comments about only being allowed to sign 3 major players per season, then the rest were loans. I went back to me, you know me, man. I like a stat, right? I like info. I went and researched all the managers that took over since Alex Ferguson, and give or take 1 or 2 players. That's the formula, by the way. That's the formula they have. Remember, Falcao came in on loan. They signed Ander Herrera, Luke Shaw, and
Danny Blind.
They signed another one.
Di Maria.
Falcao came in on loan.
Just very quickly to end it on Ten Hag, and these are some damning bits of information. We're sitting 8th in the table right now. We're 7 points off 5th, and after 10 games, goal difference is -5. Haven't won against a team in the current top 9. Miles off. Very concerning. He's a man under pressure. It's incredibly concerning. With everything else that's going on in the club, Eric Ten Hag was the guy that we stood behind, and we still stand behind. But he's under incredible amount of pressure right now.
Massive.
The
I
only
just
good
want
thing
to go around the group real quick and just, are we in or out for Eric Ten Hag? And I'm going to go off. I'm going to go straight in. Eric Ten Hag, even if he loses every game of the season, Eric Ten Hag in for me all day. FaZe, John, oh sorry, you're the same, are you, bro?
Yep, same.
Yeah, echo that unequivocally, mate.
Chase?
Yep, 100%. Every player can go, he can stay. My manager.
Love it, bro. Gregory?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason to sack him at this point. Like you said, who do we get? The players are letting him down. So, yeah, Ten Hag needs to get the opportunity to turn this around. Ten Hag in.
Masood?
ETH shouldn't go anywhere, Kilo. We can't have another situation. As it is, there's a touched on earlier. We don't have money to sack a manager, because where does the money come to then get that manager his players? Because you can't sell players because no one wants to buy the players because they're on expensive wages, and you don't get the price you want. So it's just a vicious cycle, and it will just go round and round and round and round until the owners go. We stuck in this sort of time loop.
You said it, brother. Daza, finish it off for us.
Ten Hag out. I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. I'm
coming to Scotland, Deza. I'm coming to Scotland.
He's Scottish, man, I tell you. Never trust a man with a kilt.
I will die on this hill, right? I wanted Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag is 1,000% the right man for this job. And as a fan base, we all have to unite behind Eric Ten Hag to make sure he's still there when the new owners come in. We need him to have a chance under new ownership and new structures. That's what we need. He's the right man, just at the wrong time. We need to keep him there, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I've got a finishing point on that as well. 24 months ago, 90% of Arsenal fans were saying Arteta out.
Exactly. Including Piers Morgan.
And
So
they were
everyone-
15th at that time. They were 15th at the time when they said that.
Now look,
With Chelsea.
They
I mean,
backed their
Chelsea
manager.
spent nearly £1 billion.
But what happened was with them is that the ownership, the son took over the running of the club, and he died on the Arteta hill, and he made him make the decisions. So he got rid of Aubameyang, or whatever players he wanted to get rid of. But when the ownership changed around how Arsenal was run, that's when the change happened. So if we get our new owners and the structure changes, we can see the same change as well, and hopefully we do.
Yeah, we'll be fine winning EOS.
On that note.
Anyway, this has been the Mag 247. I hope you have enjoyed today's podcast. Massive shout out. We are 3 people away from 600 followers on Twitter. So make sure you jump on that.
Guys,
subscribe to the
follow.
YouTube channel. We've still got a giveaway for when we get to 1K on Twitter. So make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, and we have been the Mag. Your home, all united.
Up the box.
Everyone will know just who we are. They'll be singing Que Sera, Sera. United, Man United. We're the boys in red and we're on our way to Wembley. Wembley.
Sports Social Podcast Network.